Welcome to Everything Wrestling with Mr. Everything. I am the one and only Mr. Everything, and this is your Monday Night Raw on Netflix recap. And the show started off with Logan Paul when he first came out. Of course, you know he's got a match coming up at Saturday night's main event with Jey Uso, and the crowd would not let him speak. They were yeeting for probably the first couple minutes of Logan Paul being in the ring before he could finally come out and say that he had became a singles champ quicker than Jey Uso, and that he he had knocked out Jey Uso 3 times already, and he about to be the next champion. And then we had Gunther come out, and the crowd was like chanting, "You tapped out" immediately when Gunther came out. Gunther pretty much was giving Logan Paul his credit for being a great businessman, social media superstar, and also saying, with all that, how he's a great businessman, that Gunther himself takes wrestling personal. And he was also telling like Logan how being an outsider, he could ask Pat how what he does to outsiders. So pretty much setting for down the line a story as far as if Logan Paul was to beat Jey Uso down at Saturday night main event, that next up will be Gunther on June 9th. Gunther walks off, and after he says he will eat him alive, and Logan continues to talk and says that Gunther's walking off because he's afraid. And then you hear the crowd eating as Jey Uso comes into the ring and super kicks Logan, lays him out in the middle of the ring. And then we have a backstage segment where Roxanne is with Adam Pearce, and she is the newest WWE Raw superstar, and she's in a qualifying match with Becky and Natalia later. Also, there's a match announced: Kairi Sane versus Zoe Stark versus Rhea Ripley. And then probably the second best interest in wrestling, and Penta comes out for a match. And before then, Jay seen backstage with Paul Heyman, and he says everybody says he betrayed Punk and Reigns, and tonight Brian isn't looking for the title, but to slow him down, and rather if it's Jay, Logan, or Gunther, it's going to be Seth as the future champion. And then we cut back to Penta in the ring, awaiting the match with him and AJ versus JD and Finn. And the crowd immediately like start chanting AJ Styles. It was good to see like AJ back where he's supposed to be. AJ Styles is one of the best wrestlers in the business. He's pretty good on the microphone, and like really, he's a legend in the business even before WWE. AJ started off hot on JD, and it's crazy. Like since JD came back from injury, Michael Cole and Pat McAfee have been putting JD over. Even Pat McAfee, who normally clowned JD before he went out, was speaking on how impressive he was. There was a nice hot tag from AJ to Penta, and the crowd went nuts. AJ got rid of the Judgment Day, and then like while the Judgment Day was outside the ring, him and Penta went over the top with crossbodies to the outside to Finn and JD. And then when we came back from commercial, all of a sudden, which seems to happen a lot, we come back from commercial and the Judgment Day is in control. Both JD and Finn at some point tried to take Penta's mask off, and JD went to slam into the turnbuckle, and Penta landed a crossbody before JD tagged in Finn. Penta was taking a lot of punishment before hitting a sling blade on Finn and a hot tag to AJ, but Finn raked his eyes, getting a calf crusher after a blind tag. JD came off the top ropes with a moonsault, and AJ moved out the way, and the moonsault ended up landing on Finn Balor. AJ went for a moonsault outside of Finn, landed on his feet, and hit him with the inverted DDT. That was, I mean, like for a man of his age, that was like pretty extraordinary. Like he's towards the end of his career and still showing unprecedented athleticism. And then Carlito pushed him into the ring post. You know, the numbers game is always, or has always been, one of the strong suits for the Judgment Day. Then after another commercial break, it seemed like there was a lot of commercials. One we'll speak on later that was for more serious reasons. You know, Penta did that handstand super kick, so he swung JD into the corner. JD went up into the handstand and Penta super kicked him. That's one of I say Penta's highlights. Something I can't wait to do on WWE 2K25. More news for that later also. And he did the sacrifice arm break. I'm forgetting what the actual name of it is, but they said sacrifice, but there's something more to it. He hit that on Fan. Gotta hit him with a sling blade. Like it was a lot of back to back to back to back offense. Like every time one person would get the advantage, it seemed like it would switch. It was a lot of action, a lot of great moves. It was a lot of oohs and ahs. They really like performed to the crowd and to the camera. At one point, JD was outside the ring after Carlito was once again interfering, and Penta came off the steps into a Mexican destroyer on JD outside the ring. Like the way they're selling his Mexican destroyer, Canadian destroyer, whatever kind of destroyer you want to call it. I guess we changed it with the ethnicity of the person, but the way they're selling it, like even back to Chad Gable on his first night, it looks like it's pretty painful. I know other companies don't sell it as much. Sometimes they'll go back and forth with them, but like they're making Penta's Mexican Destroyer look very, very powerful. Then immediately after that, El Grande Americano starts to tug on Penta's mask from behind on the opposite side of the barricade and hits him with a headbutt, knocks him out. They get him back in the ring, and Finn Balor wins with a coup de grace. Then we have a backstage segment, and Io tells Kathy Kelly that she's ready for anyone before Becky walks up, interrupts, saying she's ready to put her down, just like she did Lyra. Now, throughout the night, like what we've seen on Raw is storylines progress throughout the show, and they continue to do a great job with that. Becky came out for Money in the Bank qualifier match. Then we have Logan and Seth backstage. Seth walks up, says he has that Logan has a big match against Jay Saturday, and says the odds are in favor. And if he gets past Jay and Gunther, he'll be waiting for him. And there was a lot of this throughout the night. Far as like, it's so many contenders for the title now. It's honestly like since Jay's had it, is elevated, in my opinion, over the actual championship that John Cena holds. It's a lot of contenders for that title. We have Logan, Gunther, Seth, uh, Jay has it. Sammy has said that he wanted it at some point. CM Punk has aspirations to be champion. I could even see somehow down the line Braun Breaker figuring into this. We'll see how that goes because I surely expect Seth Rollins at some point to win the title. And he pretty much tells him if he somehow wins and gets past Gunther after Jay Saturday, if he can even win that, that they have to run it back from WrestleMania a couple years. Then back to the match between Becky, Roxanne, and Natalya. When we come back from commercial break, Roxanne and Natalya are in the ring. Like Becky started off the match like telling Roxanne to get Natalya, like they're gonna jump her pretty much. And as soon as Roxanne goes for Becky, I'm sorry, Roxanne goes for Natalya. Becky grabs Roxanne to try to get rid of her, but instead Roxanne gets rid of Becky. Roxanne and Becky at one point they went pin for pin, pretty much reversal after reversal. She tried to the disarm her a couple times while Roxanne escaped. Roxanne tried to crossface a couple times, had her momentarily. Um, Natalya interrupted it. Like everybody was getting offense. If you ask me, Roxanne was the best performer of the night. Roxanne is leaping bounds better than a lot of women that are considered mid card in the WWE. Roxanne, or at least they're making her look like it. Like if you've been watching NXT over the past couple years, Roxanne has been one of those. Like I said the other night, like Carmelo, Braun, Roxanne, they pretty much like elevated NXT 2.0 to this current form of NXT. Roxanne trained under Booker T. That's why she's called the Prodigy at Reality Wrestling, Booker T's company, and she's shown that they train her very well, and her experience in NXT has prepared her for the moment. At one point, like Roxanne hit a suicide dive on both of them. Natalya went for a double sharpshooter. That didn't work out. Becky hit a manhandle slam on Rox, but then Natalya interrupted the pin. Roxanne hit pop rocks on Natalya while she was being suplexed by I'm sorry. pop rocks on the tail as she was suplexed by Becky, and the crowd, for the first time, I believe, on the main roster was chanting Roxy, Roxy, Roxy. So obviously, she's not only getting over with me, but she's getting over with the WWE Universe. Becky went for a superplex, but Natalya grabbed her for a powerbomb, leaving Roxanne on the top rope. Then she went back for Roxanne and hits the superplex, then locks in a sharpshooter before Becky breaks it up with a bulldog. Then gets a sharpshooter on both Roxy and Becky. Becky hits Natalya with a manhandle slam, and before she can go for the win, Lyra pulls out Becky. Now, before the match, I was just hoping that Roxanne would win. Like, I'm very, very high on Roxanne. I would love her to be Mrs. Money in the Bank. Just as much as I was saying on my previous episode, I would love for Mello to be Money in the Bank. I would love to see Roxanne Money in the Bank. I would love to see how she goes about carrying the Money in the Bank because she's a great heel, a very, very good heel. And she could also be a great face if necessary, but I really see her being a dominant heel, and the stuff they could come up with Roxanne would be pretty great. But Lyra interrupted, um, took Becky out of the ring, but Becky found her way back in the ring, and I'm like, oh no, Becky's finna win. Upset me, but Lyra put her back out. Roxanne hit Natalya with pop rocks for the win. Now we all know that Natalya's like the veteran of WWE Women's Division. She's not normally used or hasn't been used much under the Triple H regime. Natalya is a legend, in my opinion. Natalya deserves her flowers, in my opinion. But she does a great job of helping other wrestlers get over. Not only was she helping Roxanne get over in this match, but she also looked great in this match. There was no like, oh my god, they're using Natalya to get somebody over. It was actually like a great performance by Natalya. I'm happy that the Becky Lynch and Lyra Valkyria feud will continue because since it has begun, Lyra has went from seemed like a gift wrap champion to being like, oh yeah, she a champ and she deserved it. Like obviously she deserved it for in ring work and getting over, but this feud with Becky has made the women's Intercontinental Championship more important, and I'm really interested in seeing what comes out of this. I see at some point Becky winning it, but I like what this has done for Lyra. It has propelled her into another stratosphere, and I'm liking what I'm seeing. Then we have Jay Uso in the locker room, and Sammy says pretty much he got his back for Saturday night main event and for his match with Brian Breaker later in the night, just in case Seth and Paul try something. Then Sheamus came out for a match versus Grayson Waller, which is interesting because the week before, I believe it was the week before, yeah, Grayson set up Austin Theory. Well, Grayson had a match with a surprise opponent, and he gave it to Grayson. I'm sorry, he gave it to Austin Theory because he knew it was Sheamus returning. And of course, we know how that went. Sheamus took care of Austin Theory. But before that match could begin, we got a video package. Of course, Cesaro challenged Rusev. The man out of his damn mind. Now, for those that don't know, before Cesaro was a comedic wrestler, Cesaro is a talented in-ring competitor. Of course, no competition for Rusev. But Rusev pretty much said, oh, you out your mind, but I'm going to crush you. In so many words. Grayson Waller came out with a game plan. It was more like a stick and move. Headlock, okay, I'm going to get away from you. Smack you, okay, I'm going to get away from you. Then like Sheamus would get into offense, and then Grayson would get back to that. At one point, Sheamus smacked Grayson so hard he just hit the ground, like almost like a knockout punch. And he sold the hell out of that smack. At one point, Sheamus went for Grayson in the corner, and Waller went over the top and stomped him, head to the mat, and then rolled out of the ring and rolled back in for his rolling flatliner. Grayson's rolling flatliner and rolling stunner are two of the most impressive moves. One thing about this day and age, no disrespect to the legends, but these move sets are outrageous. Wrestling has evolved so much as far as moves, even though some current superstars still use moves from our legends. But those two moves for Grayson Waller are pretty impressive. And then Theory distracted Waller by accident or not, and Sheamus caught him with a knee. Of course, Waller got back into the match for a moment before Sheamus took control, and he attempted to hit his 10 beats, but Waller escaped and tried to leave. But Theory was like, "Nah, you asked for this. You can't leave now." Like this feud between them two, that's not a feud, but it really is a feud. Like you know it's coming, but it hasn't came yet. It's been going on for quite some time, and I feel like this feud will get both of them over. But as far as the match, once he got back in, Sheamus took care of him pretty quickly, hit him with a bro kick, won the match. And like Theory was laughing after this match. Now, to get back to what I was saying, like at one point the arena was cheering for Austin Theory. They had an Austin Theory chant going. You could see him laughing when Waller was being manned up by Sheamus. And as far as this feud, that's not a feud yet, that's going to be a feud. Waller versus Theory is going to be a great feud. And I say that because it's going to get Theory babyface run going. And Theory has a crazy moveset. I said Waller's moveset is pretty good because of two moves, even though he has more. But Austin Theory is a professional wrestler. He was born for wrestling. Like, he has the talent, he has the moves, he has the look. But Grayson's going to get Theory over. That's a big face, a big baby face. And in return, it's going to get even more over as a heel. Waller's one of the best on the mic, and he's a dirty wrestler. So it makes perfect sense for this to happen. I'm thinking more so SummerSlam, but I guess we'll see how that goes. And then we have Pat McAfee and Michael Cole as they place a bet on the Knicks versus Pacers series. And it's funny how they're like tying all this in back into the WWE and also promoting the NBA at the same time. But pretty much, Pat McAfee said if the Pacers won the series, that Michael Cole has to commentate in a tank top. And we know Pat McAfee is famous for wearing a tank top, especially on his show on ESPN. While if Michael Cole's Knicks win the series, then Pat McAfee has to wear a full suit. And I don't think I've been a Pat McAfee fan even when he was a punter for the Colts because he was a hard hitting punter. Like if you thought you was running them punt back and you got towards McAfee, he's gonna lay you on your ass. But I've been a McAfee fan forever. I've never seen him in a full suit. Even when he's dressed up, he's still not in a full suit. Um, Then they interviewed Halliburton, and part of this was to show love for what Halliburton, for this mutual relationship that they have, and also to announce that Halliburton will be in their upcoming DLC as a playable character in WWE 2K25. Seeing how him and Jalen Brunson had their moment in the WWE, and Halliburton has been seen pretty often, and now they're playing against each other in the Eastern Conference Finals of the NBA playoffs. Tyrese also said that Logan Paul is his friend, and of course, if you remember, when him and Jalen Brunson had their run in, Jalen Brunson was with LA Knight, and Halliburton was with Logan Paul. So he was saying like Logan Paul is his friend, but he doesn't see Logan Paul beating Jey Uso for the title. And he even said Logan's his friend, but 4 letters, one word. Then we have Gunther backstage with Kathy Kelly before being interrupted with Seth Rollins. And Seth said Gunther's done a great job with his title. Now, if you remember, of course you should, Seth was the first uh, world WWE World Heavyweight Champion with this new belt. I'm sorry, new title. And Seth says if Gunther gets the title, he will officially be a target. And Gunther will reply saying that he couldn't wait. Once again, like this makes the World Championship so much more important because you have so many top stars going for this title. Now, it was a point before Raw was on Netflix where SmackDown was the show to watch. Now, I honestly feel like Raw is the show that you cannot miss. It's all the top talent going for the top titles. The mid card scene is great. Penta has raised the WWE a little more, also in my opinion. The foolishness with El Grande Americano, I don't. It's crazy. Like people think that's Chad Gable, and we see Chad Gable the same night. Like, there's no way El Grande Americano and Chad Gable are the same. Like El Grande Americano doesn't even speak English. Then we have Rhea headed to the ring, and she had a crazy pop. That's normal for her Money in the Bank qualifier match. Kyrie Sane is back and makes her entrance while Zoe Stark is already in the ring. So of course she made her entrance during the commercial break. This is where I guess you could say the dark moment of the night was. Zoe Stark was coming off of her miss a drop kick, and I guess you could say she missed it or like something went wrong, but it seems that she had a serious knee injury. Like, and you know it was bad because a lot of times when we see wrestlers get hurt, the referee throw up the eggs, the trainers come out, etc. But they immediately pinned to the briefcases overhead, showing us nothing else on Netflix or on TV, however you want to put it, and went to commercial break. Like, I've been watching wrestling my whole life. I don't remember it ever happening like that. Like, they literally panned up to the briefcases and went to commercial break immediately. Of course, our thoughts and prayers go out to Zoe Stark. She's a great performer. She's had some great moments in WWE. Knows, especially when the Trish Stratus thing was going on. But she's a great performer. Has one of the better finishers in wrestling. Period. Not just for the women. And it's crazy, man. Like people want to say wrestling's fake or it's scripted or it's just entertainment. These people really put their bodies on the line to perform. So he started as a top performer. It's like, man, it's sad to see. So I'm assuming she's going to be out at least a year, maybe less. But wrestling being such a physical sport, it's going to be at least a year. And shortly after that, pretty much Kyrie and Real they had a pretty decent back and forth. At one point, Kyrie went for the insane elbow off the top ropes, and like Rhea put her feet up, but it was like literally kicked her out there in the sword. Like it wasn't just putting your feet up; it was like she was the aggressor instead of just trying to stop it from happening. But Rhea won with the riptide. It was kind of like obviously they had more planned for this match. I'm pretty sure Rhea was still expected to win that match, and I think at some point. Because I don't think Rhea gets the briefcase. Rhea doesn't need the briefcase. I think either a feud will come out of Money in the Bank for Rhea, or a feud will be built before Money in the Bank, which stops her from winning Money in the Bank because she doesn't need the briefcase. I wouldn't like to see it just like I didn't want Becky to get it, and I'm very happy that Roxanne won. Backstage, speaking of Roxanne, Finn Balor introduced her to the Judgment Day, telling Dom like, I took your advice. I know you wanted us to add another member. Trying to introduce her pretty much as a new member, and Dom is like telling him, I gotta talk to Liv about it. I gotta talk to Liv about it. Finn was pretty much like, yeah, Liv's not here. And then he even started him like Roxanne's not a member, but she could be a little help. She could have Raquel's back. Raquel the entire time is looking like, nah, this ain't happening. Don't even don't even think about it. Liv will be back soon enough. Um she said she even brought gifts. So she gave if you keep up with wrestling, pretty much outside of wrestling and inside of wrestling, Dom is like his diet is like chicken tenders. Oddly enough, Roxanne gave him chicken tenders as well. In this case, she gave him chicken nuggets, but he looked happy. You know, I guess you could say he has a childish appetite, but he looked happy with the gift. And she even gave Carlito apples, and Raquel was not feeling it at all. And Raquel kicked her out of the clubhouse. And then we had Jey Uso making his entrance. Now Jey Uso's entrance once again was from concessions and through the crowd. The yeeting was insane as usual. He had when he first came out, he yeeted with one child, and it's like, man, you imagine being a kid and one of your favorite wrestlers, if not your favorite wrestler, probably the most over wrestler in the company, is celebrating or including you in their entrance on Netflix for the world to see. Then he comes down a little more, and there's another kid he picks up, and they're eating together. Like these moments, like these kids will never forget. Jey Uso is a super over babyface right now, and He's working it perfectly. The haters that don't like Jey Uso in this position are just that, haters. Like, Jey Uso has earned it, not only in the work he's put in, but his growth um in the Bloodline era, his growth since the Bloodline era, and his connection with the audience. When you can have everybody eating, that's what we call crowd control. Crowd control. What if you smell? You can't see me. Or truth, what's up? Singing the Viper's music. It's clobbering time, CM Punk. When you have crowd control, you are over. AJ Styles, AJ Styles, LA Knight, LA Knight. Yeah, crowd control is a major component in professional wrestling. You have great wrestlers, and then you have people that the crowd enjoy. Jey Uso is the number one right now in the company as far as crowd influence. And after his entrance, of course, Braun Breaker comes down with Paul Heyman. Jay started off dominant, getting rid of Braun Breaker and hitting a suicide dive, leading to a commercial break. Braun took over in dominant fashion before Jay came back with the entire crowd behind him and showed his Rikiza's son with that running hip attack. Now, this is like a bloodline. Between that and the Samoan Draw, like the bloodline signature moves from the elders all the way down to this current generation. At one point, Jay went for a suicide dive and Braun intercepted him, threw him from the table to the side of the ring, back to the table, before getting back on the ring and hitting his bulldog clothesline, whatever you want. It looks more like a bulldog to me, onto the announce table. And it seemed like he had the advantage at that point. Then we came back for commercial break and they were just going back and forth, blow for blow. Braun hit Jay so hard, his top fronts came out. His gold teeth from the top came out. And you can see the ref like pick him up, hurry up, and put him in his pocket. Like, that's pretty physical. Because they are like made to fit. And Braun knocked him right out of his mouth. Then right after that, he hit him with a knee, and then Jay hit him with a kick and a Samoan drop. And as Simon Miller would say, it's okay because he is Samoan. And then shortly after that, Jay went up top, tried to hit a suplex. I'm sorry, Jay was up top, and Braun came for a suplex. Braun went for the suplex. Of course, Jay knocked him down, and of course, you know what came next. Braun Breaker hit the family famous Frankensteiner. And man, like, Braun Breaker is a super athlete. Even before wrestling, you can go back and look at his footage at Kennesaw State at running back. And Braun Breaker was probably the fastest man on the field, especially if you look back on his highlight tapes, just like leaving everybody behind him when he had the football. But yeah, he's a great athlete. He laid down the straps, went for a spear, and as soon as he went for that spear, Jay hit him another super kick. Like, the super kick has in some forms been watered down to a point, but like, Logan Paul sold the hell out of it when he got super kicked earlier in the night. I think for the most part it should be him and Jimmy's like thing, not so much anyone else on the roster. I mean, of course, other people are doing it, but like, that's like their thing. And right after that, that's when Paul Heyman went for the distraction. Then Paul Heyman like taking off his suit jacket, getting all big and bad or whatever. And Seth Rollins came from behind with an attack. And then once they got in the ring, Jay tried to defend himself, but Brian himself was too much. And here comes Sami Zayn. Now Sami Zayn gets on the ring apron, still outside the ring, holding on to the ropes, like making you kind of question: is he gonna be the third man? Like, and I like how they lay seeds all over Raw. Like, it makes things that make you think. And then the crowd starts chanting CM Punk. And it's like, boom, the music hits. And CM Punk comes out to a roar from the audience. They go straight for Seth and Braun. They spill out into the crowd. And then at that point, Braun and Seth are taking control and they're going at Sammy. Right now, they're still in the crowd. And CM Punk, of course, climbs the barricade, jumps over, and then they're fighting into the audience. And out of nowhere, Logan Paul comes up and knocked out Jey Uso for a fourth time. Now, to summarize this Raw, I'm very happy at how the World Championship title picture is looking. It seems like everybody wants it. Roxanne is over as a heel. Zoe Stark's going to be out for some time. Like I said, thought some prayers go out to her. Grande Americano still up his sneaky ways. I'm wondering if he's going to be like a part of Worlds Collide or what. But I could see him being demasked at Worlds Collide. It makes sense, especially with the acquisition that WWE made, and now they're going to have a lot of Mexican wrestlers or Latino wrestlers because of that acquisition. And of course, I believe they are keeping that company strong, so it's going to be like a Latino NXT for them or Mexican because it's an actual Mexican company, but I'm sure it's playing Latinos of different ethnicities. Um, I could see them unmasking him there. Money in Bank's going to be interesting. I'm betting on Roxanne. Saturday night's main event, we have Logan Paul versus Jey Uso, and we have CM Punk and Sami Zayn versus Seth Rollins and Braun Breaker. I would like, of course, I expect Jey to win. Feel like it's gonna be some crazy, some kind of foolery. Like, part of me sometimes I be thinking like maybe Logan Paul's the third guy, but then you can't have Logan Paul win the title because that's what Seth wants. And then as far as the CM Punk, Sami Zayn versus Seth and Braun, I think Seth and Braun win, and I think it's because of a third guy. I don't see it could be Sammy, but I don't see Sammy turning on Punk, especially after they destroyed Sammy multiple times. Like Braun Breaker's been killing Sammy for a year, pretty much. I think it's going to be a third guy. I just have a feeling because you just can't let Punk lose, and Sammy can only lose so much to the same guys. I think Logan Paul is going to put on a show. I think him and Jay are going to have a great match, especially like every match with Logan Paul seems to be great. Like he really is a WWE superstar. He's not just like your regular celebrity star. It's good to see Kyrie Sane back. I love this same approach that Gunther's been having lately. Like he's in his own. Tyrese Halliburton for most like WWE video gamers. Like if you were to go online, you'd probably see everybody hates this, but Tyrese is playing a part in the WWE. He's there. He's a real fan. He even had his run in with Brunson, and of course they're in the playoffs now, so that's going to draw more attention from other outside sources to the WWE because of that situation. And if you go online, everyone's taking advantage of the footage between them two in the WWE. So business wise, it's great for them, and it's also great for Tyrese. He even has a shirt with a bobblehead on WWE Shop. Jalen Brunson also has a shirt on WWE Shop. It's good to see Sheamus back, and Sheamus is in great shape. It's great to see the Waller and Theory feud heating up a little bit. You see it coming. Next week, Cesaro versus Rusev crush. I hope like somebody tries to stop Rusev and he crushes them too. Because I really want to see Rusev back to where he was when he had the long hair, he had the tank, and he had Lana screaming, crush. Becky versus Lyra, one of the best feuds so far this year. I'm really interested in that. Of course, Io's still champion. Does Roxanne take it? Like something is like telling me like Roxanne takes it, and or I mean at some point, because I don't see anyone else beating Io at the moment. Like no one else. It would have to be Rhea, but I don't see that either. And then Rhea and Bianca are going to feud at some point, and of course Bianca's out with I believe two broken fingers. But at some point, that's going to be the feud because, like she said when she was on SmackDown last, I believe she said that she wasn't done with Rhea. So I'm hoping they get back to that. Penta has to get rid of El Grande Americano at some point. Penta is super over, and that was pretty much like the night for Raw, and it was a great night. Like I went to SmackDown last week, and SmackDown was very good in my opinion compared to the previous weeks. Last night Raw had me locked in, and like I've listened to Not Sam Wrestling, he enjoyed it. I've listened to Simon Miller Ups and Downs, he enjoyed Raw. Busted Open, not so much, but I think they're more invested from at least like Bubba is more invested in. I'm sorry, Bully Ray is more invested from a wrestler standpoint. Him being in the business so long, he nitpicks. But even Greca was like saying that he's not feeling like he's not invested. Man, since WrestleMania, I feel like Raw, especially Raw, I am more invested than I was before Mania. Other than the fact waiting to see if Jay was going to win the title, and that women's triple threat was amazing at Mania also. But like Raw, I'm heavily invested. I liked everything about Raw, other than the Zoe Stark injury, which I'm sure kind of modified the women's qualifier match. It's gonna be a good Saturday night's main event. It's also Cena versus R-Truth, Drew McIntyre versus Damian Priest in a cage match. It's gonna be a great PLE. It's gonna be on Peacock and NBC. So man, people with an antenna can watch it, and of course, I'm sure millions of people be watching it on Peacock. So it's gonna be a great event. With that, I think that's it for tonight for my Raw recap. We'll probably see you after SmackDown Friday night. Well, since it's 3 hours, it'll probably be Saturday, and then another recap for NXT Battleground. Until then, it's everything wrestling with Mr. Everything, and we out.